Wow, 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 wow. I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Hello, welcome to the next installment of the Beginner Series. I think this is episode 3, but we're going to talk about picking your fabric. Now, this can be a daunting task in and of itself, so I've got some tips and tricks I want to talk you through to help you picking your fabric for your first quilt. I know I've talked about my first quilt a few times on different episodes, but it's worth going back to that story because when I was a new quilter, I had no idea what I was doing, and thankfully I had some friends around to help me pick my fabrics for my first quilt. Hopefully I can be that friend for you if you don't have one already. So here, if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see the quilt. I'm holding it up. If you're not, you can go to the YouTube video and look at it. It's just a mishmash of different fabrics. I didn't really have a set plan in mind. I just knew what I liked as far as colors and themes of things. I picked some cats, I picked some flowers, I picked lots of teals and purples because cool colors are my thing. And I just picked what I liked. I had a friend, Beth, who we interviewed. If you haven't listened to hers, go back to her episode. But she walked around the store with me and held what I was picking out for me so I could kind of match stuff up or hold fabrics against each other and see what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. And ultimately, I ended up really loving this quilt. I still look at it. I sleep under it every night. It's my favorite quilt. I put Minky on the back, of course, because it's my thing. But I didn't have a set plan, but I just went in with ideas for things that I know I liked and colors that I know I liked. And so it doesn't have to be a very specific curated thing. You can just pick things that you like and put them all together. I want to go roar from the bushes. Now, I have a few tips for how you can start picking your fabric. If you're not quite sure which direction to take it, start looking around your house, your room. What are the prevalent colors or what are the prevalent styles that are around? Do you have more modern things in your home? Are you eclectic? I'm eclectic. So I have lots of different things around my house and my room. I like a mishmash of different things. But focus on what you like. What are your colors? What's your theme? What do you feel good looking at? So that can be a way to kind of hone in on what you might like in a fabric. Look around at the different textures that are in your home as well. Sometimes fabrics can emulate those textures and bring them to life when you put them together in a quilt. A way to see different ideas is to look up patterns online. On Instagram, designers will usually have several mock-ups of their quilts in different fabric lines or just different colorways, so you can see how it looks with different ideas in place. You can also go to Pinterest and look up the name of a quilt pattern, and oftentimes there will be lots of different versions. So you can kind of see a pattern if it's going to look good in the colors that you like or in the types of fabrics that you like. The great thing about finding something online is you can recreate what you see. If you like it, then make it. You can even put your own twist on something to adventure out into making something uniquely yours. Now, I have some go-to designers that I love to look into for fabric whenever I'm shopping for myself. Art Gallery has some really fantastic designers. My top 3 favorites are Katerina Rochella, Maureen Cracknell, and Barry J. They just have big florals, lots of colors, and their designs are just beautiful. The next fabric I like to look for is rifle paper. They have, again, gorgeous florals, and they just whisk you away to a romantic fairy tale land, and it's fabric I just love to look at and I never get bored of. Another fabric designer I love is Tula Pink. She designs for Free Spirit Fabrics. She's got bright pops of color, fun designs, and always has a great theme to her fabric lines. I also love some moda designers. I love Lella Boutique. I also love Ruby Star Society. They have great modern pops of color as well, with lots of fun prints and designs. And last but not least, because I could go on for hours about all the fabric I love Allison Glass. She designs for Andover Fabrics, but she comes out with a sun print line every year, and every time it's a little bit different, but they're bright rainbowy colors, and there's always some fun little details in the fabrics that are super fun to look at, and they just make for a beautiful quilt. Now we're on to shopping. It can be so fun to shop for fabric. I know it's my favorite part. I love wandering through the quilt shop, looking at different things. And here's another plug for shopping local. Please, please shop local whenever you can. This helps our quilt shop stay in business so that they can be there for all of our future quilty endeavors. That being said, back to shopping. I think it's so fun to go in and just look at the different fabrics and touch them and put them together physically in your face so you can actually see what they're all going to look like together. Something you can do that will help your shopping trip go more smoothly is to take your pattern with you, or at least take your fabric requirements so that you know how much of each fabric you need for whatever pattern you're going to make. If you feel overwhelmed or you feel like you're not finding what you need, typically the quilt shop employees are going to be so helpful. They know where everything is. They can direct you to certain styles of fabric or certain color palettes, and they are just a great resource. Always rely on your own tastes, but they can usually help you find what you're looking for if you're feeling lost. Also, another helpful tip while you're shopping for fabric is that most patterns will include extra fabric in the requirements, making up for fabrics that maybe aren't as wide. Sometimes they're 42 inches wide, sometimes they're only like 39 inches wide. So pattern designers will include a little bit extra to make up for that. So you may end up with extra scraps, which is great because then you can turn that into another quilt later on. So don't feel the need to add any extra unless you really just want extra fabric, because it should already be there for you in the pattern itself. Another thing to be aware of is backing and binding. I've gone to the quilt shop, I've bought what I thought was everything I needed, only to remember, oh yeah, I don't have anything for the back of my quilt, and oh yeah, I don't have anything to bind my quilt with. You can always go back to the fabric shop, but I like to just try to get everything all at once so I don't have to make any extra trips if I don't have to. Another thing you're going to need is batting. It's what goes in the middle of your quilt to make your quilt sandwich. So sometimes if you're taking your quilts to a quilter to get them long-armed when you're finished, they might provide batting, but it's pretty safe to say you're going to need to buy it for yourself anyway. So don't forget to get batting as well. And typically, like I said, the quilt shop employees can be super, super helpful. So if you feel like you're missing anything, you can have them go through your pattern with you or your list to help make sure that you've got everything you need for your project. Another way you can shop for fabric is to buy pre-cuts. These are bundles of fabric that are already cut into certain sizes, and sometimes that's the easiest route to go. You can make simple, beautiful quilts out of these, and some patterns are actually friendly to the pre-cuts. Pre-cuts are sometimes my favorite thing because I don't have to cut them up, or I only have to make a few simple cuts to make a pattern, and I don't have to worry about dealing with yardage. Some of the more popular pre-cuts are a jelly roll, which are 2.5 inch wide strips with the fabric, which is typically about 40 to 42 inches. So they're long, skinny strips that you can sew together, or you can use them for lots of different things in projects. You can use them for binding, you can use them as sashing, you can use them as a border. But yeah, that's a great pre-cut to start with. There's also charm packs, which are 5-inch squares. There are layer cakes or 10-inch stackers, which are 10-inch squares, my personal favorite. Or there's fat quarters, which is an 18-inch by 21 or 22-inch piece of fabric. Usually you can buy fabric lines already in these pre-cuts. So if you like a line of fabric, but you don't want to commit to buying yardage, or you don't want to commit to having a ton of it, you can just buy a pre-cut set and have all the fabrics already cut for you So if you're not sure about buying yardage of fabric, or you're just not quite sure what you want to do with a certain fabric yet, you can just buy a pre-cut set of it and save it for later. That's what I like to do. I know I've been pushing for shopping locally, and I also know that sometimes it's not always available to you. So I'm going to link some online sources for you where I like to shop online if I can't find something locally. That way you can kind of see where I shop, but there are also online sources that carry lots of the newer lines that come out and are a great resource and often have sales and things to help you build your collection. At the end of the day, you want your quilt to represent you and the things that you love that bring you joy. So really, the only opinion that matters about the fabrics that you choose is your opinion. So really, my biggest suggestion is just to go with what you love. Go with what makes you smile and makes you happy. It may not all go together in the end, but who cares? Just make a quilt, get one under your belt, and it'll be a great story later on down the road. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy that you're here with us. Next time we're going to talk about prepping your fabric for cutting, so make sure you go shopping and get everything together so we can do this together. We'll see you next time. Bye! Goose poop. Ah! There's a lot of animals right now. Shrubbery! I'm standing in the shrubbery. Ah! Ah! Done.
Is that it?